Hey everyone, today I'm joined by Adel Minkara from Beirut, Lebanon. Adil is a guitar player and music educator. Adil, I want to begin by asking you, how is pursuing a formal music education viewed in Lebanese society?
I'm sure Lebanon is a bit better than the Arab countries, but it's still viewed as, something that, it's very risky. Still, parents, they don't like their kids to go and study music, to pursue a profession of musician, to be a musician. But uh, everyone, encourages their kids to study music as a hobby, as something as. Um, but now it's a bit changing. The level of, in Lebanon, the music has entertainment in general is really important. You've got different styles, you've got a lot of things happening in Beirut. You could go now walk in the street, you will hear a tarab night, and then you will hear a classical concert, you will hear something jazz, some heavy metal concert. Everything in Beirut is happening. So the need of musicians is, yeah, there is a need for good musicians. Um, but you have a lot of obstacles. You have, as you know, the regional crises, and we had wars and everything, and we had like an economic meltdown, like in 2019. Things were really tough for musicians. So a lot of musicians had no work at all. Uh, the conservatory was doing okay, doing good, getting better and better, and then the situation got really bad. Uh, so you could see that the musicians started leaving the country. The national orchestra, like, dismantled. There was no salaries anymore. So now it's getting better, and even the education is back on track. Everyone is like, the conservatory is got more teachers. It's back. We had the port explosions and then wars and everything. So we had a lot of crisis in the country. But even though everything that happened, uh, a lot of initiatives uh, were happening of helping musicians, you know, classical ones, jazz ones, some NGOs that were donating for not musicians directly, for venues to host musicians. Uh, so, things are getting better. Hopefully, if we have more peace, things will be way better in Lebanon.
You mentioned the conservatory. I was checking out the website of the National Conservatory of Lebanon. And it's amazing to see that in the same conservatory, they're offering European classical music, they're
Yes.
offering jazz, they're offering lessons on oud,
Everything,
qanun, ney,
everything.
and then they have the vocal styles too, from Quran recitation to Byzantine chant
Uh,
to
this is
Syrian
this
chant.
is something that you have to. This is something that I think it only happens in Lebanon.
Yes,
If you want to study the Arabic singing, you have to go to Tajweed
yes.
classes. You have to learn the Byzantine melodies, the main ones. You have to learn everything. So imagine you have a very conservative Christian from Lebanon who's going to the conservatory and learning tajweed so he can know how to say the words. And imagine a conservative Muslim also who wants to learn, like, just singing and order. He has to learn the other things, the Byzantine, the Syriac. So it's a very nice thing here. It's extremely nice. And even though if you study classical music, you have to study Oriental music theory. Okay, you have to do you have to study harmony, theory, harmony, okay, solfege and everything, and you have to study the Oriental thing. And if you study the Oriental thing, you have to study also harmony, remembering that you have to remember that we're a very small country and extremely small. And when you have a bigger country, like for example, Egypt is like
Yeah.
110 millions. If you take like 1% of these 110 millions, you'd get like a lot of good musicians,
Uh,
you know? But we're barely 3 to 4 millions
yeah.
in Lebanon, and a lot of people live outside and then come from Europe, but there are always exchanges. You know, a lot of experimentation, oud player who plays jazz, guitar players that go into Oriental, they play
Yeah.
Oriental. So this is the nice thing.
Yeah, I want, first of all, it is very unique in my experience what's being offered at the conservatory, but I also wanted to ask, when pursuing a formal music education, do you think one tradition is considered more valuable than the other?
If you study all your life in the conservatory, you'll get a paper, a degree that comes from the Ministry of Culture, not education. This is a major problem here. So you get a degree and you cannot work at any university. Okay, so this is the conservatory. Although you'll be a way better musician. Although I've seen the same problem even in Brazil, because I'm half Brazilian also. They have the same problem. The conservatory level is very high, but their paper is like, when you get a degree, you cannot get a job at the university. Okay. So in Lebanon, you have this problem. So they know, even if most of the people that I know, they study music and something else. I didn't do that. But most of them, they study both. And of course, in Lebanon, you know, there are some people that think you should study classical, but not that much. There are very good also. The Oriental thing, Oriental department is good. The jazz department is good. Uh, they will tell you study something like a business degree, do a business degree, and then do whatever you want. So because you know it's still Lebanon is a very small country. So you have venues, you have Beirut, you have a lot of venues that things are happening, but it's not like it's not like the States, United States or Europe where you can do tours or something. So you're limited, okay? And you're not only that, you're limited in places where you perform. You have to work extra because you have to know to play everything. Because last week I was playing with a oud player who was playing his music, Oriental, and then I was playing in a concert that was playing. We rearranged the music of Widad, a very famous Lebanese singer in the 30s and 40s. And then the next day I had a jazz gig. So you have to do everything. You have to know maqams, you have to know how to rearrange it, you have to do everything. So so this limitation also pushes you to work harder, you know? So you have to know everything. I'm not like only specialized in Brazilian or jazz music, which is something I see a lot outside. People are like, just play this style, which is great also because you can, you can do something and you can be more relaxed.
I understand. Lastly, Adil, how does Lebanese society support you? Somebody like you who doesn't have a business degree and a music degree. You're just a musician. How can you go about building yourself a career and supporting yourself in
You know,
Lebanon?
yeah, it's it's uh, it's it's not about your degree. It's about working all your life ethically, you know, showing up to rehearsals before everyone, being extremely prepared, doing the job. Uh, this is how you maintain your career.
Yeah. If you could give some options as to, as a working musician, what opportunities do you have in Lebanon? So you said teaching, you said studio work, you said performance.
Mainly, these are the main things. I have I play I'm a sessionist. I play with uh, whenever a band calls, because I have to. Not a lot of people here are good sight readers. Okay, so this opens a lot of things for me personally. Uh, so sessionist, recording, concerts for various bands, you know. Now it's less than before, but we used to have a lot of artists coming from outside to we have very famous festivals, the Beit Din Festival and Baalbek Festival every summer. Now it's paused because of the war. Everything's paused because of the war. Uh, so, you know, it's everything. Teaching at the summer when everyone is busy, going on vacation, I have less students, but I have more work. Winter time, I have more students and less big concerts. So, you know, you always have this equilibrium
Yeah.
of work, which is good. I think it's a very good country in Lebanon to for music if we have more peace, you know. We're always struggling through crisis, but I like it here as a working musician, you know.
Great. Thank you, Adel.